Welcome to The Explainer. Let's just dive right in, shall we? Today, we are tackling a massive misconception. Most of us are completely conditioned to believe that wealth is this sudden overnight phenomenon. We see the tech billionaires, the lottery winners, the overnight crypto sensations, and we think, that's exactly how it works. But actually, we're looking at the exceptions, not the rule. Today, we're breaking down the architecture of true wealth mastery based on our source material. And the core premise is simply this. True wealth isn't an overnight explosion. It's a slow, methodical snowball.
To really understand this snowball effect, we first have to ask a pretty baffling question. Why do so many high earners still feel totally broke? It challenges everything we're taught, right? We just assume a massive salary equals wealth. But remarkably, statistics consistently show that a huge percentage of people earning over 100 grand a year are still living completely paycheck to paycheck. Why is that? Well, it's the salary trap. As income rises, spending just follows right along with it. Better cars, larger homes, it's total lifestyle creep. A high salary keeps you comfortable, sure, but it has a hard limit because you are ultimately trading your finite time for money.
So we really need to look at this massive difference in mindset. It's the myth versus the reality. The myth is what we call the lightning strike. It's fast, it relies on extreme luck, and honestly, it's incredibly rare. This is that classic get-rich-quick trap that lacks any real financial foundation. The reality, the way actual generational wealth is built, is the snowball. It starts out tiny, it relies entirely on patience, but here's the kicker. It is backed by guaranteed math. The wealthy don't just sit around waiting to get struck by lightning. No, they start packing their snowballs.
Which brings us to Section 1, Surviving the Invisible Phase. Why the beginning feels deceptively slow.
When you're just starting out in year one, your progress is absolutely tiny. And frankly, this is exactly why most people quit. When you first start building wealth, your progress looks almost entirely invisible. You save small amounts, you invest $50 here and there, and the needle barely even moves. It feels incredibly frustrating. It feels like you're doing all this heavy lifting just for pennies. But then, flash forward to year 10, and it becomes noticeable. You've got some momentum. And by year 30, it's a massive vertical explosion. That right there is the simple, undeniable math of compounding. The reality to wrap our heads around is that growth starts deceptively slow, and then it explodes vertically. People fail because they rely on this fleeting, intense motivation. But motivation is emotional, It dies the second the results aren't immediate. During this invisible phase, you don't need motivation. What you need is patient consistency. That early compounding is happening right beneath the surface, quietly building the core mass of your snowball.
Moving on to Section 2, Time is Ultimate Leverage. Compounding rewards the patient, not the intense.
You want to know the absolute secret to getting to that vertical explosion? It really comes down to just one tiny number, 1%. You do not need a high income or lucky timing to leverage time. You just need to improve your financial habits by 1% daily. Save a tiny bit more today. Invest just slightly more tomorrow. Cut out one unnecessary purchase. These tiny 1% adjustments compound rapidly. Seriously, uninterrupted time is the single force that builds wealth the fastest.
The true reality of the wealthy is that boring consistency outperforms spectacular intensity every single time. Amateurs try to time the market, right? They're sweating over 6 different trading monitors, constantly chasing the next big trend. That is spectacular intensity, and it usually ends in massive, devastating losses. True wealth builders, on the other hand, use simple, boring habits. They buy index funds that own the entire market and just let time do the heavy lifting for them. Boring is reliable. Boring wins the race.
And that leads perfectly into Section 3, Consistency beats high intensity. Start rolling your snowball today.
Do you know the absolute best starting point? $0. You literally do not need to wait until you have thousands of dollars saved up to start. Waiting for the perfect moment or some huge starting balance is a complete trap. You can start building your wealth mindset and your financial foundation today with exactly $0. How? By auditing your life. Cut the hidden leaks, cancel those subscriptions you never use, and put a hard stop to lifestyle creep. Awareness is always the first step, and it costs absolutely nothing. Once you plug those leaks, you build this exact, automated system. Step 1, pay yourself first. The average person pays their bills first and saves whatever is left, which is usually nothing, right? We need to reverse that. Step 2, automate your investments. Have the money transferred out of your checking account the very second your paycheck hits. Systems run when motivation dies. They completely eliminate the need for human willpower. And then Step 3, spend the rest guilt-free. because your system is already running in the background. You've already protected your future self. The rest is yours to enjoy.
To get that system funded, here are 3 highly actionable tactics from our sources you can implement literally this week. First, use the 48-hour rule for non-essential buys. Impulse spending is super emotional. If you force yourself to wait exactly 48 hours, the logical part of your brain kicks back in, and you'll usually realize you don't actually need it. Second, save your first $1,000 fast. Forget about tens of thousands for a second. Just get a $1,000 buffer so you can stop relying on bad debt for unplanned emergencies. And third, prioritize buying assets, not depreciating luxury goods. Real millionaires know that a luxury car loses 20% of its value the second you drive it off the lot. Take that money and put it into your snowball instead.
Now for the most exciting part, Section 4, your unstoppable wealth snowball, hitting the ultimate tipping point.
This is the exact moment everything changes. Remember that invisible phase we talked about at the very beginning? Well, once your snowball gathers enough mass, it takes on a complete life of its own through things like dividends. Think of dividends as corporate profits paid directly to you simply for holding shares in a business. You can essentially get paid daily without doing any work. And if you automatically reinvest those dividends, you buy more shares, which then pay even more dividends. It's a glorious cycle. Eventually, this passive cash flow grows so large, it actually covers all your living expenses. Your momentum becomes mathematically unstoppable.
Closing the identity gap between these two archetypes is everything. On one side, you have the trap, the active earner. They trade their limited, finite time for money, they constantly inflate their lifestyle with every single raise, and they stay trapped on that endless treadmill. But on the other side is true freedom, the asset owner. They completely decouple their income from their time, they build automated systems, they buy compounding assets, and they just let time do the heavy lifting. We've got to stop thinking like a consumer and start thinking like an owner.
Which leaves us with one final provocative thought to wrap up this explainer. Are you waiting for a lightning strike, or are you building your snowball today? Look, you cannot buy more time, but you can choose exactly how you use it right now. Stop waiting for the perfect conditions or for millions of dollars to magically fall into your lap. Embrace that invisible phase. Small, boring habits today create massive, unstoppable fortunes tomorrow. It's time to start rolling your snowball.